It says I'm live. Good afternoon, one and all. I see there's several of you in the chat. Hope you can all hear me. I'm not so sure whether you want to see me, but that's the privilege that you've got today at the moment. So how is everyone? Hopefully you're all okay, not flooded out anywhere. Don't know what it's like where you are, but West Sussex is quite bright today, shall we say, weather-wise. So anyway, that's the chit chat over. Welcome, one and all. In the background, I have the professional earworm who will be keeping an eye on you buggers. There you go,
Ron,
Mark. Now, if
good
there's
to see
any
you all in the chat.
rubbish, he'll put you in time out. He's got permission. But above all, we're going to try and have a little bit of a laugh today. It's serious, but it's not serious, if you know what I mean. We're wood turning. We're doing it as a hobby. If you don't enjoy it, don't bother to do it. So I'll put Mark in the background, banish him to the background. And before I get him to introduce what we're going to do, I will be turning a vase a little bit later on out of that. It'll be natural edged that way up. There's no bark on this because it's bone dry. It's probably about 10 years down. I'm fortunate that there's no shakes in it at the top. There is a slight shake right at the bottom. You can't see it, but I can. It's safe. I haven't glued it, but that's not a problem. But I don't know how many of you were in on Makers on Sunday nights. I think several of you were. The question come up on there, and I don't know, can't remember who asked it, but Wayne answered it. Do you warm up at all? How do you practice before you start? I quite often do, and I turn silly little bits of wood. It's pre-drilled all the way through. There's a 3mm hole through. There's a 6mm counterboard at the bottom. I've got 50, 60 of these in the workshop. I'll bang one or two on the lathe before I start to do anything technical or delicate, just to get my eye in. So today I'm going to put that on the lathe, change cameras, hopefully. Oh God, how do we get to the camera now? Camera mic.
While you do that, Keith, I'll just run through who's in the list.
You can see the above camera shot, so you can see me, and I'll leave you to Mark to have a chat.
Right, so we've got Brickhouse Craftworks, Doug Miller, Dad Wood Spun Round, Douglas Mungham, Ian Leonard, John S., Mike Hugh retired from Ilminster, Ian in the Shed, Pete Twisted Trees, Real Simple Things, Baz, Richard RJK Spinning Wood, Robert Dolman, Terry from TJ Turning, Tommy's Workshop, Wivey Woodshed, Lindsay Gardner, and I do believe that's everyone in the list that YouTube has provided me. So, if I've missed you, blame YouTube.
Yep.
David Heath has just come in.
Right, so let's put the extractor on. Is that too loud for you?
Can't hear it.
Good. I can, but I'm okay. Right, so spindle roughing gouge. This one is 1 3/8 inches across outside of the flats, and I'm not sure whether that's a 1/2 inch or a 3/8 spindle gouge. I don't know how they define it, but it's on a 1/2 inch bar, 13mm bar. It's the two tools I should be using. So we'll fire this up to maximum warp factor, rough it down. I'm holding this between a light pull drive in the chuck because I can't be bothered to take the chuck off, and a 60-degree revolving centre. I'm just going to quickly rough this down. And if I do stab it, it stops, so it's perfectly safe. Just need to put a little bit more tension on it to get it to grip again. So
Andy H is returning to just come in.
Hi Andy. Andy's a club member, so he'll be keeping a particular eye on me to make sure I'm doing it right. It's quite a hard old dryish piece of wood. With a bit of wild grain, typical of you. This is going to be the top. Put some detail on. Stop just shy of the steel, and I don't have to resharpen the tool. So that's the bottom done.
Hodgepodge Woodworks is in. Hi, Hodge.
Hi, Hodge.
This and Harry.
Top. Oh, we got that wood-eating beaver, have we? I do all of my cord pulls the same shape because these sell. And I can sell on a good year up to 1,000. These are my bread and butter. This pays for any wood that I need to go and buy, or any tool that I need to replace. So there we have.
For anyone who missed the start, Keith, I'm just going to remind people, this is Keith's warm-up routine. This is what he does before he starts turning properly, just to get the muscle memory back, just as a warm-up pre-turning, which is a good idea, something I do, and I know it's something a lot of other wood turners do as well. Wayne does as well, every day. Wayne the wood turner, he does it as well.
Particularly if you're going to be doing something that requires a little bit more dexterity and finer control. So what have we been running? We've been running 8 minutes, and that is probably about 5 minutes on the lathe turning, and that's given me all I need to do. I just put a bit of paper in my hand, 3 or 4 passes, just take the burr off the bottom, burr off the top, and I'll throw that in the bucket and finish that when I feel like finishing something. But that's just woken up my muscles.
Wood Wizardry by Collins in, says afternoon all, sorry he's late.
I think Colin was logged in early, wasn't he? I think
yeah, but he does that.
The first one?
He logs in and then leaves, you know.
I know, he escaped.
It's kind of cheating,
Yeah. Right, so the real piece is this. Another piece of yew, bone dry. I've got gripper jaws in there. You can just about see them on the camera. It's like a series of rings in there. That will hold that as tight as I need it to be. Never had anything fly out on me. I've got 2 tightening holes, so I use them both.
Colin says he had to go and give blood.
All right.
Good man. Well done. As somebody who's received blood transfusions, several of them, thank you for doing that.
Right.
Thank you, Baz. Appreciate it. That's good camera position, Keith.
Can you all see? Well, I'm going in the end, so I was just wondering whether, see what, not that one.
No, we don't want to see you.
No.
There you go. You just angle it down a little bit. Perfect.
Yeah?
Yep.
We can see what I'm doing there. I'm going against the grain, so we're going to get a little bit of chatter. And I've got 7 inches hanging out the chuck, so I cannot take a heavy cut.
Graham Haynes has just joined. Hello, Graham.
Hi, Graham. I see Richard's on the bottom there as well.
Hi, Rich. Yep.
Is that picking up in the mic, all that vibration?
Only a very little bit.
Okay,
So
that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine, mate.
You'll notice that I'm very closed. I'm almost totally closed on the chisel. I'm not going in there fully open. There's the flute. The flute is just open by about 10 degrees. I've got much more control of cut going in there. Almost impossible to get a catch. I'm using the bottom part of the wing.
That's basically back hollowing, isn't it?
Yep. But I'm coming the right way on the grain. I'm going, if the grain is like that, I'm pulling back onto it, so I've got a supported cut.
Okay.
If I was to go in from the outside, that way, I've got an unsupported cut, and then you end up with breaking bits and pieces off and getting a fluffy cut. So
remember, people, we don't want fluffy cuts.
you definitely don't want a fluffy cut, particularly if Harry the Beaver's around. Now I sell some of my turn-ins through a craft shop local to me. It's about an hour away down in Bognor. I don't know whether Mark could find the link. It's only on Facebook. It's called the Craft Cabin Bognor Regis. There's over 100 crafters in there of various sorts. A lot of them fairly new crafters that have taken up crafting since March. But I'm not ashamed to put my bits and pieces in there. and I can't be doing too bad because I'm selling bits.
There you go. I've put the link in the chat for you.
Lovely, thanks, Mark. So that's one place I sell, and the other one is Amberley Museum. That again is on Facebook, or it's got its own web page. They do have their own YouTube channel on there of Amberley Museum. I'm actually featured on that. That's where my very first YouTube video was featured. I was in the museum workshop about 6 years ago. A museum photographer come round, and it was a Sunday afternoon, and we always give each other a little bit of stick. I'm sure you can't imagine that happening.
Of course not. Christine and Michael Hesseltine are in.
Oh, right. Well, Mike Hesseltine is an ex-Amberley Turner. He's a club member, so we know exactly where I'm coming from. But the photographer Pete said to me, "Got any wood you can chuck in the lathe, and so I can video it for a YouTube for the museum?" I said, "Well, I'm doing bud vases," I said. "So I haven't got a lot of wood, but I can find something." So I found a reasonably straight grain piece of wood, piece of brown wood, nothing spectacular, and proceeded to do, I think it was about a 14-15 minute demo for him.
Got a question for you, Keith, from Doug Miller.
On. Hi, Doug.
Hey. It's a two-part question. What are those warm-up pieces sold as, and how do you finish them? Somebody's already told him that they're light pulls.
They're cord pulls, yeah, cord pulls, light pulls. I will sand this down to 400, and I've only gone to 240, and then I will apply 2 coats of CA on that, take it off the lathe, leave it for 24 hours, and then I'll buff that on a buffing wheel. And that's all I do for selling them. That's not coming up, not too bad.
Four King Owls is in. Hi, Four Kings.
Hi, Four Kings.
Mark Pritchard's in as well. Says he was in the shed, but he's come inside now.
It's warmer indoors, Mark. You're going to appreciate warming up.
Hiya, Mark. I woke up this morning and Etsy had very kindly told me that I'd sold one of my yarn bowls overnight. Very happy about.
Yeah.
So I'm off to the post office with that later.
See what... No, I've still got some natural edge or some flat that I need to get rid of. So keep pulling it down.
Greg Alexander's just joined.
Hi, Greg.
Hello, Greg.
I could have used the Simon Hope hollower in there, the little 6mm hollower. Not everyone's got one, so I'll do it on tools that everyone's got.
I do love mine. Can choose through the wood.
Yeah. This isn't doing too bad. Like I say, considering it's got 7 inches hanging out the chuck.
Tommy's workshop's got to shoot off. He's got to go back to work. Cheers, Tommy.
It's nice to have you in, Tommy, for a little while.
$38 watching.
Oh, that's a... Thank you, everybody, for coming in and being part of this. Hopefully someone will learn something. Oh, I know one thing. Dust. Got to have the sip of gin. Ease the throat. Oh no, it's water, that one. Get in there. The bit that you can't see, but you've got to make it look right.
Looking good so far.
Just got a ridge down there that I need to try and pull out. Was that bleached it out too much?
A little bit, but it's okay. It's okay.
And bear with me on this end.
Keith, as Doug Miller's in the group, can I chuck a link in for his channel? Because he's just recently started uploading.
Yeah. Anyone else want anything put in? Good price today. It's only £10 a link. This close grain yew does come off nice, even if it doesn't come off that fast. Look at it coming off as a streamer.
There you go. There's the link for Doug Miller.
Lovely, thanks, Mark.
At Wood Spun Round. That's his channel. Go give him a sub. Check out his work.
Got a fraction to take off just there. I've got a little flat.
Pete from Twisted Tree says he was in the post office sending out an order, started to cough, and he felt very self-conscious as everyone was in the queue was shuffled away from him.
Yes, it's not so easy these days, is it? Right, so I've got no flat edges.
Graham's had to go. He said he'll
catch it
he's
later.
Gotta leave, but he'll watch the rest later.
Well done, cheers. Drop the speed down, just get rid of the fluffies.
Lindsay Gardner's asking, do you remove the bark to reduce any toxins in the dust while turning?
No, it fell off because it's about 10, 12 years down. Never had a problem with you, but I always run on extraction. So I've got the extractor running behind, which takes a good bit of it away, just throws it outside. But I've got the door shut, so that's good enough.
There's some discussion in the chat about making longbows from yew.
Right.
And Pete says, yew does make good bows, makes the best bows, but you want young trees about 6-inch diameter and the trunk slit into 4 and worked from there. Yes, you do, Pete. You also have to make sure that you have equal portion of heartwood and sapwood, because the two pieces combined make the bow work properly. It's the compression and deflection elements of the wood that make yew so popular for bows.
We're fairly lucky down in the south of England that we seem to get quite a lot of yew around. This was part of an old hedge I took down for a customer that didn't want to pay full whack for some plumbing work. So I said, I'll take a hedge down for you and take it away. I made more out of taking the hedge down than what I would have done if I'd have got paid. So to me, it was worthwhile. Right, that's sanded up to 240.
Crafts with Blake is joined. Hi, Crafts with Blake.
Hi, Blake. Oh, I think I can kill that light now. Sharp chisel. Speed up to maximum. This is where the eyeballs need to work.
You want to change cameras, Keith? Go overhead.
Yep.
There you go. Perfect.
Now, before I get too far down the body, I want to finish the top basically. And I'm aiming for a 2 or 3 mil wall thickness. Said I'm aiming for it.
Richard from RJK Spinning Wood. Question for Keith. Are you going to do a captive ring?
I think bollocks comes to mind.
Yeah. Oh dear. Started a trend.
It's not that I can't, it's that I think they're a total waste of time.
So do I.
When I first started and when I was in the workshop, it was quite often it was a talking point. You put a captive ring on it. One of the little kids come along and say, "Oh, they're nice, mister." Snap. Why do I bother? So I don't now.
Steve from SK Crafts has joined. Hi, Steve.
Hello, Steve. No work today, mate. Don't eat shavings. It's not good. Oh, it's better. Ended up chewing on a shaving.
Douglas Munger was saying, captive ring.
If you want a captive ring, Douglas, feel free to turn one.
Yeah, go ahead, make one.
You won't embarrass me. Be more of a martini glass shape.
Pete says, thanks, Keith. Totally agree, obviously.
And now Steve's come in. It's sort of funnel shaped, Steve. Just for you, mate.
Mike Hughes asking, what's the diameter of the piece, please?
It's about 3 inches diameter-ish. So it's not round. I think it's sort of 3 inches in 2 different sections, and it's a little bit less on the end. But quite nice colour to it. Right, so we're down to about 2.5 mil.
Douglas Mungham says he doesn't have the tools or the skill like you professionals. You obviously didn't watch my live last night, then.
No, I'm just a amateur.
I just hacked at it until it fell off.
It's all down to practice. The more you practice, the better you'll be.
Mark Richard's got a question.
Yes?
Keith, what turning project gave you the most pleasure to turn?
I don't do a lot of projects. No, I don't do a lot of projects. I'm not a project person. I think going back to perhaps the earlier days of turning, that's 2.5 to 3 mil wall on that. I'm happy with that. I'm not going any thinner. Make it any thinner, put it on there for sale. Some bugger and come along and knock it over. There's no point. I know I can go thinner. I get as much pleasure out of turning these. Sorry, Steve, you missed that, but you need to go back to the beginning, show you how to turn a cord pull. My practice piece. My warm-up piece.
Pete's saying he's having to make some more snowmen. He's asking, should I put a captive ring on as a scarf? And just about everybody in the chat has said yes. He's going to curse me. I swear.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right. I thought I just caught it. With the tool wrestler, I didn't lock it down quite tight enough. Well, you know, you started it off, Pete.
I think I kind of helped.
Right, give that a sand.
You've left a good little piece there that you could do a captive ring with.
I have, and I could.
You're not going to, are you?
Told you I'm not. Not even for Pete.
Brilliant. Douglas is asking, what speed are you turning at?
Usually a project an hour. Is that what you meant, Douglas, or did you mean
No,
revolutions?
speed of the lathe, yeah.
I've no idea. I think on lowest, as it is now, I think this is about 500, 450, 500, and I crank it up. I think it's about 1200 max. So honestly, don't know. It's a cobbled up lathe that I've built myself. It's the old original bluey grey Axminster 330, I believe. I bought just the body. There was a head shaft in there. There was no motor to it. So I phoned Axminster and said, I've got a lathe with no motor. Oh, we don't do the fixed speed one, but we do a variable speed one. So, okay, what do I need to change it? He just said 120 quid. So, okay, that seems quite a reasonable price to get a lathe. So I invested in about 120 quid for a variable speed motor, which is tucked underneath there, out of the way. It's done God knows how many hundred kiddies bits and pieces. I've got another one, the white one of this, which is newer, which comes out with us if we do an outside demo, or if we demo outside at the museum. Going back to the question of what do I get satisfaction out of, like I said, it won't be projects as such, because I'm not a project person as such. I get a hell of a lot of enjoyment from turning Christmas decorations, mini monsters for the kids, with the kids, and things like that. And so do witches, wizards, ghosts for Halloween. I get as much enjoyment out of that than I do of turning 24, 26-inch bowl on the other lathe. I've done it. I know I can do it. It's not a problem. It's not the big things that give you satisfaction.
Lewis, the Klondike Craftsman's in. Hi, Lewis.
Hi, Lewis. I had a request ironically, it was from a club member, and she'd only just started turning. Her parents were running a village fete, and she needed some Skittles. So I said, that's fine, no problem. As long as they don't need to be exactly the same. There'll be 9 Skittles, but they'll be marginally different. I turned them. I said to her, do you want a ball as well? Oh no, we've got we've got some balls. I thought you have asking me to do it, but still.
Alex Lambie's in. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Alex. Yeah, I get a lot of enjoyment out of doing stupid things like that. That lump of wood. So I'm upside down, but I've just swung the camera. That's 5-inch square, and it's 10 inches long. It's laminated out of 6 pieces. You can just see the 6 pieces there. That I've got to make 11 acorns for the museum. I don't know why I volunteered for that. It's not the best of wood, not the best of projects, but yeah. I'll do it.
Steve Scott's in.
Who, sorry?
Steve Scott.
All right. Hi, Steve. That's a name I don't remember seeing.
He's got a question for you. He says, "Hi everyone, sorry forgot to say hello. Question for Keith. Do you use sanding sealer on the light poles before the CA glue?"
No, bare wood. If you put sanding sealer on, the CA won't adhere to it very well. And I always use medium CA.
Robert Dolman's asking you, do you ever do pure art pieces?
No. I've got the likes of Steve doing that. Wayne does them. It's finding the time. I know I'm retired, but her indoors keeps finding jobs.
Mark Pritchard's come up with a very good statement. He says, "It's such a great craft. He finds every piece he turns is a pleasure." Yes, exactly.
Yeah, when it's not a pleasure, Mark,
don't do it.
Pack it in for a little while. When it becomes a chore, take up knitting.
See, I couldn't be a production wood turner.
No,
because that would just bore me to tears. I do what I do because I enjoy doing it. Gives me pleasure. Builds my strength up. Makes me feel good about myself.
I suppose I'm sort of contradicting myself a bit in that. I couldn't be a production turner, but I will turn out 50 pens at a time. Production turn them out. Only because that's the way it works for me. It doesn't work that way for everybody.
No.
But if we all work the same, if we all work the same, it'd be a strange old world. I also don't production turn, but production turn cord pulls. I've got a box of 50 plus blanks, pre-drilled, both ends counterboard, ready that I can pick up, toss on the lathe, and do my little warm-up with them if I need to, if I feel that I need to. So I'm just trying to work out what size base I want on this. I'm not going to leave a natural bottom on it. I'm going to cut the base down to a round. Get rid of some of this rubbish.
Doc Miller says,
Go on.
Doc Miller says, you're proving what I say all the time. There's more than one way to do most everything. I would have reduced the diameter of the whole piece long ago. I think you just left the
then you
sides
don't
for the
get
support.
the natural edge, and it's not been in the way.
Plus, it gives you stability and support, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. I've still got plenty of stability there. Chisel's a bit blunt now. Sharp one, I think. Yep. Tell it's sharp because it's coming off as whiskers.
Brickhouse Craftwork says, I find the best way for me to do some production work is I have to make it a challenge. Race against my best time for each piece. Yeah, that's another way of doing it.
Yeah, but you will automatically get quicker the more you turn. And is speed what we're looking for? We're doing this as a hobby. If I wanted to do this as production turning, I would have chosen something a little bit different to do. Yes, I can turn fast. It's 3/4 of an hour that I've been turning, but I've at least 10 minutes before I got onto this one.
Right. Douglas Mungham's asked a question. I'm not quite sure of it, but is there a reason to round a blank if you are turning the outside of the blank?
Is there a reason to round the blank if you're turning the outside of it?
If you round it off first,
Yeah.
you can turn the speed up. This is what I would say. If you round it off first, you can turn the speed up because it's more in balance and you get a better cut. But I think that's what you mean.
But this was so close to being round that I mean that end is pretty close on round. It's just got a
he
little
says for
point
a bowl.
there.
For a
Oh,
bowl.
for a bowl.
Yeah. Turn the blank round, get it spinning true.
Depends what the wood is and what size it is. 9 times out of 10, I won't. I'll just put the blank on and come straight in and turn it. Let's turn me upside down so you can see me. If that was my blank, mount it to the chuck either by I use a faceplate ring because it works for me. Look at the outside. You can't round that off.
Yeah.
All I would do would be to take the corner off, chamfer the corner. Define your foot. I will need to thin this down a fraction. but this has got purple in there, so I don't want to waste too much of it. It's not going to be the easiest bit to turn, and all this bark will start to come off, so I will lose probably 1/4 of an inch just to get down so I get a chucking point on there. So no, I don't. On something like that, you couldn't make it round.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of movement in this. I can actually see it shimmering in the cup. But through working down to the chuck, it stayed pretty stable. I'm past the catch point. I'm not going to go back on and do any work that end now. All I'm just doing is just tickling it up with a bit of 240 at the moment, just to get rid of those last little tool marks, and it is only little tool marks. 400. Parting tool. I'm parting this off up at about 10 degrees so that it hollows out the base a fraction. Right. I'm in about 3/8 of an inch. Another pass down the side. Go past the first one. I can pick up the first cut. Right, gets rid of the dust straight outside.
John S. has asked, do you ever use templates?
For
turning pieces, similar shapes?
No. The only time I use a template is if I'm doing a leg, stool leg. I drew a template up for those only because I needed 100 of them, and they had to be pretty close. There were small anomalies in them each. In oak, 2.25 inch oak. Had that as a commission. That's the only time I made a template. And after you've done the first 30, you don't need a template. The eyes are pretty good. Right, chestnuts, cellulose sanding sealer. Don't need to flood it. Just need to make sure that it's got a coat all the way around. Let that flash off. So I haven't disappeared, guys. I've got an abrasive store down the other end. Weebrax, Nyweb, call it what you will. This one is Weebrax. It's what I used to get for club. The equivalent grit to 1600. I got it from the car industry. So all I've just done is literally de-whiskered that.
Douglas Mungham says, Keith, I did not know that you turned peg legs. Lol.
You should have seen the bigger ones. I haven't got a copy of that, but I also did that. That was for benches at a private school, and I ended up with 60 full height table legs turned to replicate that. They were 6 inches square. So it was all turned out of the square. Right, this is melamine gloss lacquer. I'll let that go off on its own and then give it another couple of coats just to build up the gloss. Don't know how well that's. Doesn't look to be too bad on the camera.
Yeah, it's a good picture.
So while that's flashing off, is there any more questions? Anything anyone specifically wants me to see me turn? And captive rings are out, so don't even ask. Pete's a guy for that. Is there enough of you in there? You want me to bang on another blank and do another cord pull? Show you how quick and easy it is. Because Steve missed it first time, because he's got to make a few, apparently. So you guys come up with some answers. I can turn whatever, I'm just thinking of size and filling up the hour and a quarter to give you guys to
Terry
watch.
says, carry on, Keith. Mike Hughes got to pop off. Doug Miller's, really like this goblet. Terry says, lovely looking. You really is beautiful. Brian at Hardwood says, beautiful piece, love it. Douglas Mungham suggests a ball inside a box. It's even worse than a captive ring.
Yeah, tell him that won't happen today, because the blank I've got's got a hole in it right the way through.
Yeah, do another light pull if you like.
Yeah, like I say, it's good practice, and they sell. So I'm going to turn something that sells. Just let that flash off. I'll park that off then. I'll take some decent pictures later on. But,
Douglas Mungham says funnel.
Steve's expert at that. I don't want to take his crowning glory.
Lindsay Gardner is asking, do you have a video on how you turn your kids witches?
No, don't need one. Don't need one.
That's how you do your snowmen, isn't it?
More or less, yeah. Yeah.
Go back 2 or 3 lives. Keith turned a
my
load
very
of
first
snowmen and Santa Clauses. That's the same process.
You're not escaping, are you, Lindsay? You hang on, I think I've got 3/4 of an hour. I can knock one out. Or was it 3 or 4 minutes?
Steve's asking, will that goblet make the wine taste funny?
No, not the way Nikki drinks it.
Dangerous. Danger. Step away from the comment. Actually, quite safe, because she doesn't watch any of us doing wood turning anyway.
No, No.
Apparently there's better things on telly.
Yeah, there's a load of rubbish on there, which is why I'd rather come down in the workshop here and play with a bit of wood. It's nearly gone. Right, let's turn the extractor on. Don't do that. We can survive. Just need to attack the bottom, finish the bottom. But there is a finished
Pete's,
vase, goblet, call it whatever you will.
Pete's just sent me a link to put in. Pete,
Go on.
I can't put that link in, buddy. It's too long. If you can send me a shorter link, I will.
I'm not sure how this is going to turn out, Lindsay, because it's not the best bit of wood. It's very coarse grained, but 4 inches long, about 1.25 inches square. Bring it down to the round. Use the roughing gouge as a skew. Sorry I took some time.
Showing off now.
Done so many. Right. So it's just a standard cord pull drive. Can't be bothered to take the chuck off, so hold it in the chuck. Tail stock on. See if I can do it without trashing the camera. Bit of oak. Bit of rubbishy old oak.
Right, there you go, folks. That's the link that Pete just sent me. Proof that he does actually know how to turn a captive ring.
But he's got the sense not to do it.
Yeah.
Right, one cord pull. Friction drive so it grabs. Grain's a bit wild in here, so just catching on the top there. If it's deafening you. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Douglas, do you want to try that question again? Because it doesn't make sense.
Just a quickie for everyone watching. The spindle roughing gouge. Bevel rubbing, not cutting. Lift the handle, bevel cuts. You can see the dust just coming off down there. That's where you need to be. Not in there scraping.
Bailey Woodworks has joined. Hello, Bailey.
Hi, Bailey. Straight off the spindle roughing gouge. You'd go straight over that with 400 grit. Nice finish on there. Because the bevel's rubbing, and I always put it in the direction of travel as well.
Douglas Mangham's asking, does putting a Morse taper in a chuck cause damage to the Morse?
No, because I'm up the top end of it where the Morse taper isn't actually on. You can't hold a taper in a parallel chuck, but at the top of the chuck, top of the drive, it's parallel. So I'm gripping on the parallel piece. It's only because I'm too bloody lazy to take the chuck off. Right down to the last knockings. I'm not touching the metal with the chisel. There's just a little whisker there.
Andy H is returning. It's got to go.
Thanks, Andy, for stopping by. Hopefully see you down the museum in the new year. Use the spindle roughing gouge as a skew. Use the side of it. As Lindsay recovered from seeing the witch.
Yeah, she says that would have taken her half an hour. She needs more practice.
And that is it, Lindsay. It is practice. Just refine the shape of this so that it takes very little sanding.
Robert Dolman's got to go. He's got to get back to the lathe. See you, Robert.
Oh, cheers, Robert. There we are, guys. One chord pull. I'll just go over that with 120, 240 and 2 coats of CA, and then I'll buff it up.
Lindsay, sorry, my apologies. She is a he.
I wasn't sure, so
it was
a quick text change didn't work then. So guys, let me come back to, come on, wake up. Let me come back to, I think it's that
So
one.
that's 2 cord pulls, a witch, and a U goblet in an hour and 10 minutes. Awesome.
I'm slowing down then. It holds things. It's got shavings in. So
Douglas says he's heard that most spindle work can be done with a roughing gouge.
a lot of it can be,
Yeah.
if you use the roughing gouge right.
Sorry, the finer detail work that needs a spindle
Yeah.
gouge, really.
Yeah, I wouldn't have attacked the stem of this little vase, goblet, call it what you will, um, with the roughing gouge. I mean, that is quite a big one. But the beauty is, it's got the profile. Like I say, it's 1 3/8 across from outside to outside, so it's about 1 inch in the flute. But that's ground at 45 degrees, works for me. A lot of people, instead of being 45 degrees, will grind it at 30 degrees. So you haven't got such a sharp cutting edge when it's like that. So you're mincing the wood off at times. It's not too bad on hardwoods, but if you go to a softwood, if you go to pine, if you'd have tried doing this bit of deal, I mean, it's a rubbish finish on there. It's a little bit torn out on the top. Certainly torn out on the bottom when it focuses. You can see how torn out that is. But there's the growth rings on that are 3/16 of an inch apart, 4mm apart. But that, with a bit of 120 paper on that, that'll sand up easy enough and can then be decorated by the kids.
Yep.
They get hours of fun out of that. So is anyone? I'm not sure whether I'm going to do one next week. I'm not doing it every week. I'm going to do it most weeks. Has anyone got any suggestions, questions as to what they'd like to see? I'm not going to say I'm going to do it, but you do have an input. Whether we listen to you. There's the two bollocks. One in oak. You. How many times have you seen them hanging on the back of a Land Rover? I expect that's where Steve puts all of his.
Douglas Mungham is suggesting a lidded bowl.
Don't do a lot of lidded stuff. I'm more one-piece turning. Quite happy to throw on this rubbishy old piece of yew.
Yeah, you could turn that next time.
And make a bowl out of that. That should look quite stunning. I can take you through the process that I would go through. I can turn basically anything that I set my mind to. What I'm looking at is feeding information to you guys that haven't been turning so long, so that you get inspiration and you can see another way of doing things that you thought you'd got the only way of doing it.
Yep.
I'm not a I've got to be careful how I say this, but I'm not a conventional turner. I stand at the lathe, and the lathe, you can't see it, the lathe should be centre height should be at elbow height. My lathe is 2 inches above my elbow, so that I can stand at the lathe rather than lean over it, because I've got an iffy back and my knees are shot, and it's not much that's any good of me now, but we still keep going. So I'm not a conventional turner as such, so everyone adapts and adopts things to suit themselves. There is no,
Absolutely. I agree with that.
yeah, there is no 100% right way of doing anything. There is a safe way and an unsafe way. What I'm aiming to show you guys is a safe way and a way of doing it. I've been hauled up before the committee at club before now, because they didn't like me turning a pen with a felling axe. And I said, why? It's not safe. You tell me why it's not safe. Well, it's just not safe. No, you tell me why it's not safe. No one could come up with an answer except that it's not safe. I said, I've got the tool rest. I'm leaning on the tool rest. The tool's sharp. I've got full control over it. What's not safe about it? They walked away in the end. If I go back about 4 or 5 years on eBay, I don't know. Do you know what that is? Have you possibly seen it advertised as one thing or two things? It's an old carpenter's flat-bladed screwdriver. They used to put grips on them to give them extra leverage. Something very much the same as that was advertised on eBay as a wood turning chisel. So you just need to be a bit careful. This did turn wood. I got a reasonable end on it. I could turn something, but I couldn't get a very good finish because it was a fairly soft steel. I've turned with a paddy shovel. Again, got told it's not safe. Shouldn't be showing new members that. I said, what am I showing new members? I'm showing new members that if you present any bit of metal to a spinning piece of wood, it will cut it if you present it right. I couldn't argue with that. So if you want to see some odd demonstrations, just put it in the chat. I can do a 3-foot felling axe, nearly 4 foot. I can do a shovel. I ground up a 2-foot wrecking bar. Depends with that. It's not exceptionally sharp, but it's sharp.
Well, Steve Jones has done it, hasn't he? He turned something with a shovel, with a spoon.
Yeah, I've not tried a spoon, but providing it's sharp, the only thing I wouldn't use is a kitchen knife.
No, steel's the wrong kind of steel.
There's a kitchen knife. That's what I cut my abrasive with. It's so thin that it flexes. It's more of a spring steel. That is dangerous. That I would never do. But that works ideal for cutting the abrasive. Don't need a Stanley knife when you've got an old kitchen knife. All the information that is passed on helps. Thanks, Douglas. Well, that's what I'm trying to do, mate. Like I say, it's not that I need to learn to turn. I'm like Wayne, I don't need the practice. Practice makes perfect. But it's good. So I can see the chat now. If any of you guys have got a problem with a tool, I'm quite happy to talk either individually to you or as part of a demo like today. Fill out the time on the chat. Don't have any issues like that. I think we're all in it to learn and learn other methods of doing things, other ways of doing things. I don't
I'm
know
gonna
if
have to shoot off, Keith, because I've got to get to the post office, mate.
okay, mate.
Thanks
Thanks,
for having
Mark.
me in.
No
Cheers,
problem.
everybody.
Thanks for what you've done. I'll carry on for a few minutes. All I'm going to say is I'm hoping you guys have got some form of insurance in your workshops or for when you're in your workshops. For argument's sake, I dropped that on my toe and I've just got sandals on. That's going to give me a funny colour toe and it's going to bloody hurt. If it's twice that size, it's going to hurt 4 times that amount. So if you pick up a chisel, 9 times out of 10 it'll drop metal first, point first. What's on the floor? Your feet. If it misses your feet, you're lucky. So anyone coming into my workshop will have to have shoes on of sorts. And I would suggest you guys look at an insurance as well to cover yourself, because most insurances will cover basic tools as well. So for something like just over £1 a week, it's pretty good insurance, pretty good cover. So there's many out there. Craft insurances don't go through all of the big boys. Google craft insurance, and that'll come up with quite a few. You might have got a local broker in your town. Those that live in towns that you can go and chat, see what they've got, see what they can offer. But I would suggest it. I think mine actually covers. Mine is through our club. Mine actually covers teaching, providing I put a written explanation in beforehand that I'm teaching. So if you're going to do a little bit of teaching, showing, that's one-to-one teaching, not teaching on YouTube or showing on YouTube, because that's just me in the workshop. Just that I've got a camera set up showing what I'm doing is neither here nor there. I can't see how many are in the chat still. Pete says if it flexes, it shouldn't be used with power. Like you say, anything can be that can hold an edge can cut. Yeah. So if there's no steel toe caps for me, might help a bit, Mark. It's entirely up to you. I wear leather shoes. I'm not dropping anything from a major height. I used to have to wear toe detectors around sites. They don't do your feet any good. And this time of the year, if you suffer from cold feet, you'll suffer from cold feet with toe detectors on as well. So self-preservation is what it's all about. Mark's had an issue with insurance because of asbestosis. Yeah, I don't know on that one. But if you say that they said no, have you tried it on your house insurance as just a craft? Some insurances cover crafts at not too much extra. Depends what you're paying for, how cheap you've got your household cover. Because ironically, my contents cover from the workshop come on the house insurance contents cover. I had nothing down there. I didn't have a computer down here at the time, but that's only 100 quid. Dearest bit down there is £1,500 lathe, which isn't £1,500 now because it's well down in value, the same as my big bandsaw. That was less than 1,000, so it's nothing I had to declare. So I've got a wild squirrel up on the bloody roof, and I've got a tin roof on this workshop, belting around up there like a loony. So if you've got nothing else, guys, Pete's got public liability. Yeah, that I get through the club, through the AWGB. We buy a bulk bit, and I just have to inform the club that I'm outside or I'm teaching, and I'm covered on the AWGB insurance that the club's got. Got a bit on my house insurance, covers workshop and contents. Good. At least you're covered on that then, Mark. Personal injury would be personal injury. They'd have a job to argue about it if you drop something on your foot and you're actually in the workshop. Could have been in the garden and dropped a brick on your foot. I think we can go around the same way as what some of the insurance companies will. We want to be paid out, and they don't want to pay out, so we will slightly alter it. I did drop something on my foot, but it was out in the garden, so you can't say I did something in the workshop. Your word against theirs all the time. Right, guys. Keep an eye out. I'm not sure whether I should do next Tuesday. Probably see if I can squeeze one in between Christmas and the New Year. Might always do a pop-up. Depends what's on, how I'm feeling. I'm not pressurizing myself to do this every week. As soon as it becomes a chore, you lose interest. So if I can pop up every other week, 3 out of 4 weeks, providing I get the viewer participation, I'm quite happy to do it. So watch this space. Thank you all for popping over today and sticking with me and Mark. He does make quite a good earworm. He's pretty methodical, and he's not too overpowering in your ear. Thank you for the good comments that are coming up, Douglas, Richard, Mark. Terry's off. Brian. Do you want to do next week, Brian? Next Tuesday, 1 o'clock? Brian at Hartwood Turning. Save me having to worry about something. I'm all for sharing it. I don't want to be greedy. I'm not on this to get 1,000 hours out of it in the first week, um, because there's no fun and enjoyment of that. You would rather see different people doing different things. Right, Brian's booking himself in for next Tuesday lunchtime then. So we'll pop over and see Brian. I'll pop over there and see if I can annoy him as well. Throw some silly questions at him. Who said that? Okay, guys, I'm signing off. Thank you all for attending. I need a cup of coffee now. I'll catch you after Christmas now, I think it'll be. Bye for now.